Hey, this is Dr. Sutton with MDI Prep, and we are back for another episode. And the question today is, what do you do if you are trying to get into this school and you cannot get in because this exam is standing in your way? Well, today we're going to have an opportunity to talk with a student who has been struggling to overcome a particular exam. And we're going to talk about her improvements, some of the things that she did to improve. And ultimately, we're going to be giving her some tips, some things that can really help her separate herself from other applicants. So stay tuned as we talk to her about her journey.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning.
All right. So I just wanted to get back with you and talk to you about, let's just talk about any of the questions you have. I just want to kind of recap some of the things we're talking about with the OAT. So let's kind of go through some of those questions.
So, like everything, or just like OAT wise?
Well, more so. Let's look at it this way. What is your biggest concern right now?
Well, my biggest concern, like before, the email and stuff like that, was how I could get. When I should retake the OAT once more in order to, have a greater improvement, or at least get to the 300.
Right.
Because when I was doing the practice exams, right, I would hit around 320 at least.
Oh.
And then I was like, yeah. And so that's why it was kind of a shock to me because I was going through the OAT itself pretty good.
Okay.
I can't lie. I was actually reading and understanding what it was asking. But, this after the fact, again, the first one, it's oh, okay, well, apparently I didn't know what I was talking about, but I was going through it and,
right.
It felt like I knew what I was, doing.
Right.
But
right.
I mean, the improvement was there. I'm not saying I'm completely disappointed, but the fact that what I got on the practices, which I know is not going to be exactly the same as the practice test. That was another thing. I don't know if the practice test I needed to do a harder version or a different version, or because I did all 10, all of the ones from each subject, and I did them multiple. But then they don't change. The questions don't change. So obviously you get to a point where you're just okay, you remember the answer. You're not gonna you're not gonna go through it to solve it, but I did. I'm not saying I didn't, but eventually, if you do it 3-4 times, you're just gonna immediately know, oh well, that's the answer. But I still did all of those tests and exams, and the lowest I say I got on the exam was 297 for the practice.
Okay.
And so
okay.
That's why
297.
Yeah, but the highest was but then, because it scores you based off of also subjects within the practice test as well.
Okay,
and those were high. Those were chemistry was a 350 or 340. Bio was 320. Or something like that.
Hold on. Let's look at a few things. So what you saw was that when you were doing the practice exams, you were scoring at numbers that you were comfortable with. You were okay, cool. If I hit these numbers, I'm going to be good for the test, right?
Yes.
Right. And then you get to the test and you score higher because you took the OAT before. And then after you took our course, you took it again, right?
Yes.
And then so you increased your score by 20 points, which shows that you definitely had an improvement. But the big question is that if you were scoring 350s and 320s on the practice, then you're saying, what happened when I got to the real exam, right?
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you, one of the first things we know that happens is that when you were taking the practice exams, did you have the same intensity? Meaning that when you got ready to take those practice exams, did they feel like you were taking the real exam, or did you know it was a practice?
Well, I mean, I knew it was a practice, but I tried to deal with it as if it was on a real exam. But even though you're at home, it's still obviously not going to be exactly how you're going to be during the test.
Exactly, exactly. So you knew it was a practice exam. So when you know it's practice, do you think you're more relaxed at practice or more relaxed at the real exam?
I was more relaxed to practice.
Absolutely. So one of the things that I can tell you for sure is that if you're scoring 320s, 350, high scores in the practice, and then you come to the real exam and you're scoring, say, significantly lower, then a lot of that is due to mentality. It's not based on your content. It's not based on anything else other than a little of how you feel when you're taking the real exam. You understand what I mean? So some of the easy things that you probably could recognize during your practice because you didn't have any stress or anything. Those little easy things may have looked a little blurry because you were thinking, man, this is the real exam, so it's kind of a little more difficult to focus. But that's neither here nor there. That is something that can be corrected because that's just a little what we call, everybody has it, a little test anxiety. We know that, right? Because especially if you've taken the test before and then now you're taking it again, you're thinking, I got to do better. I got to do better. So that part, I don't want you to even think about that, worry about that. Let's talk more about what do you do once you have the score, right? So now you have the score and the applications are in. So since the applications are in, how many schools did you apply to?
I want to say about like 10.
Okay. You applied to 10 schools. How many schools have you heard back from?
I heard back from San Antonio, they didn't, not a lot of them said anything yet.
Okay.
San Antonio just was the one that was like, I'm a low priority, and I called them. I was like, I don't know, what do you mean by that? Like, is it like out the window or is it like still? And they told me I can wait, and I have to wait and to see like other application for them to see other applications by May 1st, and then they'll decide whether if they have space, then they'll reach out.
Okay.
And by that time, if I retook the OAT and send it in to them, if it's before the deadline, they might reconsider to like relook at the application. But it's like basically I'm on hold for San Antonio as well.
Okay.
Until other applications are in and they can like decide based off of that. UH hasn't said anything to me. Like they had a the application, the supplemental, but it was never open. Like it never opened and they never emailed about it. And I tried to get in and it was due on February 28th.
Well, let's back up. Let's back up. I don't mean to cut you off, but let's back up to the San Antonio. So you said something that was pretty interesting that you did. You said you contacted them once you got the email about the low priority. So low priority doesn't mean no priority, right? It just means low priority. And you kind of asked them what they meant by that. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay, now watch this. Do you remember the name of the person you talked to?
No, I do not. I don't even think she said her name to me.
Okay. So let me tell you why I say that. Anytime somebody gives you information from that school or whatever that you're applying to, you should be grateful that they even talked to you and gave you any information, whether they told you to go to the website or whatever. So what I always tell students to do, especially prospective students, is get the name of the person that you're talking to. A lot of times it may be the secretary or it could be an admissions coordinator, whoever it is, right? But you get their full name. And whenever you're talking to them, don't talk to them. Always have a sense of gratitude. You appreciate them taking time out of their day to even talk to you, right?
Yeah.
Now, what you should do then after that is you should always send them a thank you card. Just a little simple card that says thank you on the outside, and then on the inside, write something about maybe some information she gave you. You can say, well, Miss Smith, thank you for taking time out to talk to me about, my application and the low priority status. That was very helpful, and I will definitely take the words you gave me and use those, whatever you want to say in terms of you want to just let them know that you heard them and you would take what they said and apply it. You follow me? Now, what do you think that does? What do you think that does? Why do you do that?
It gives them, like, it shows your personality, like, that you're, like, it kind of gives them an idea of what kind of a person you are, and that you, no matter, like, you appreciated them and that they took their time.
That's right. That's right. And do you think they would remember you or the person that they hadn't heard from or had gotten a thank you card? Do you think they would remember you or that person?
Person with the card.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So guess what? When they start looking on that priority list and they try to start figuring out who can we call from the priority list, they're going to remember you. Because a lot of, the problem is a lot of people do not show that gratitude. They just simply call, I always, and I hate to say it, I call those students just users. Because all they're trying to do is get what they can get so they can get in. But they don't care about the other person on the other end of that phone. They don't care that other person has a family. They don't have that other person maybe, just an individual who might need a thank you for that day. So what I'm saying is that you want to be different. You want to be, and I know you personally, that you're a good-hearted person anyway. So just let that come out. All right. So anytime you start having interactions with any schools or anything going forward, make sure you apply what I'm telling you. Okay. Make sure you say thank you, send a thank you card. It doesn't cost anything to send a thank you card, and don't send just a thank you email, a thank you card. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So let's go back to, so that's San Antonio. So I know you mentioned the POP program in Nova.
Yes.
And so with that POP program, we kind of discussed some of the pros and the cons. And in terms of the pros being that once you've completed that program, you will be a D1, which is good because that's your goal, right? You want to become an optometrist. So now that'll get you one step closer to your goal by completing that program. We said that one of the cons or the drawbacks is if you don't, do well or you fail a class or something like that, you can be removed from the program. And then essentially you basically have wasted a year because you're going to have to wait for the next cycle anyway, right?
Yeah.
Now, the key thing that I've always shared, and I shared this with you before, is I told you there are three things. I'm going to see if you remember. There are three things that every successful student must have in order to matriculate. What are those three things? The three T's.
The time, tenacity, and a talent.
Good. That's right. You need time, tenacity, and talent. Now, can you have two out of the three?
No.
No, you got to have what?
All of them.
You got to have all of them, right? So the talent, we already know you have the talent because the talent shows us that the fact that you improved your score by 20 points shows that you have the talent to be able to read information, to understand it, to apply it. So we know you do have that. Now, in order to get that score up even more, you may need some what? Time.
Yes.
You follow me? Time. Now, what is I always talk about the microwave generation, right? Versus my generation, we grew up with a stove. Have you ever used a stove?
Yes.
So what's the difference between a stove and a microwave?
You gotta cook on the stove, but you just warm the food up in the microwave.
Okay, all right. But hold on, I got a better question for you. Have you ever used an oven?
Yes.
Okay, what's the difference between an oven and a microwave?
Well, the oven is more like for baking, and microwave is still just like warming stuff up.
So see, your generation doesn't really understand the difference. With an oven, when you turn an oven on, is it immediately ready in order for your purposes? It's not, is it? You have to wait.
You got to preheat.
You got to preheat. Oh, go ahead. What did you say? You have to what?
Preheat.
Preheat. Now, microwave, do you have to preheat?
No.
And see, that's the problem that a lot of students don't want to preheat. They want to go straight to the cooking. They want to go ahead and get this thing rolling so they can eat, right?
Yeah.
But this is the truth is that this whole process of matriculating into like optometry school or any school, it's going to require some preheating, meaning that that's going to require some time. So you can't just rush something, right? You want to make sure that by the time you put it in that oven, oh man, you preheated that oven to where you want it. So when you actually put that in there, it's going to cook just like you want it to cook. Sometimes you think about it. You could throw something in the microwave. You put it on for a few minutes and you think it's ready, but it's still cold on the inside, right? It might be warm on the outside, but you touch the middle. You're like, all of it's not warm, right? You follow me?
Yeah.
So time. And what did I tell you? There are three things we do know about time. One, you cannot what?
Go back.
You cannot revert. There you go. You cannot create time. You cannot predict time, and you cannot reverse time. But what can you do? You can
use it, manage it.
Manage it. There you go. So the first thing I want you to get out of your vocabulary is any deadlines. We don't care about deadlines, do we? Deadlines are for people who are in a hurry. Those are for the microwave folks. Are you a microwave person?
No.
You're a what? You're an oven. So from now on, if I ask you who you are, you're gonna say you're a what?
An oven.
You're an oven, and as in the oven, you know how to what?
I gotta preheat.
You gotta preheat, right? And preheat means it might take a little what?
Time.
That's right. But guess what? When you finish, how is that going to be prepared?
Really good.
Really good. Okay, so for this cycle, for the 2024 cycle, right now, all you can do is you can manage the opportunities that you do have. Okay, so let's look at those. So you have the POP program in Nova. Okay, every school that you have not heard from yet, I would say go ahead and reach out to them. Just kind of like a soft hello. You were just following up on your application. You wanted to, just see, if there's anything else additional that they needed. And if you had a specific question for that school, you can ask that individual. Okay. Now, as you reach out to them, please make sure you get the person's full name. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Never, ever, when you're talking to them, never seem like you're in a rush. Never seem that, like they owe you anything. Don't seem bossy or anything like that. You always have a sense of what? Gratitude. That makes sense?
Yes.
Okay. Now, what do you do as the post follow-up?
Send them a card.
Good. What kind of card?
A thank you card.
Handwritten thank you card. You follow me? And in that handwritten thank you card, what are you going to say?
You appreciate the time they took out the day to speak to you and help you out, to talk to you and tell you about your application or whatever information they gave you.
There you go. Good. Perfect. That's exactly right. Right. We keep it real simple. You ain't got to write an autobiography in there or anything like that. Just keep it simple. Okay. Now, what's going to happen is you may or may not get any responses, but at this point, it's not so much that you are really looking for the responses. I know that's the ultimate goal. You want them to say, yes, you can come to our school. But at the same time, when you send that thank you card, I really want you to send it with an energy of, I'm doing this out of sincerity of my heart. I'm really thankful for them just taking time to talk to me. Whether they accept me into their school or not, I appreciate them taking that time. Do you follow me?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Now, so once you go through the cycle, you're going to do all those things I just told you to do, right? Now, the other thing too is that you're going to be proactive, meaning that you're going to prepare because the other application. So think about this. The 2024 cycle ends soon, but the 2025 cycle opens up in what, July?
Yes.
That's 4 months away. Is that a lot of time?
No.
So guess what? You can't create time. You can't predict time. You can't reverse it, but you can what?
Manage it.
So in these next 4 months, couldn't you manage that time well enough to say, you know what, let me go ahead and just kind of, start reviewing some OAT because I can still increase that score, right?
Yes.
And I can still, if things did not work, I anticipate that they will work. But if they didn't work, then at least I could show the admissions committee, look, I got the tenacity. Because you remember we said you need three things, the three T's. You need talent, you need time, and that final thing was what? Tenacity. What is tenacity?
Determination.
Determination is persistence. It is basically saying, I'm not going to give up. So that will be showing the admissions committee at these different optometry schools that, you know what, this person went on and they were proactive and they went on to start preparing for the test again. They took the test again. The score came up again. And they're like, wow, they're just not going to give up. Do you think they would want a student like that?
Yeah.
Yes. So there's nothing that's going to stop you from getting in. Nothing. And the only thing that can stop you is who?
Me.
And you don't plan to stop yourself, do you?
No.
Okay. Well, that's what I'm talking about. So, you already replied to the NOVA people, right?
Yeah, I registered for the POP.
Okay. So then, so basically you just have to interview with them and then they make a decision, correct?
Yeah.
Great. All right.
And as far as the interviews, do you know how it's gonna be, like the questions and stuff, or is it like
it's
you just gotta know like on the spot to
well
respond to them?
Well, it's gonna be a general interview question. So think of it like this: they're really trying to see, your how I guess good you'd be as a student. So you almost think of it like this: if I'm interviewing you for a position to be in my optometry school as a D1, then what do I want to know about you? I want to know, how do you handle certain situations? I want to know, obviously the POP program is, for people who've had to overcome some hurdles. So they want to know, okay, how did you overcome these hurdles, right? Or what are you doing to correct certain situations? So that's something that we can practice on. We could just set up a session where we can go through just some practice interview questions, and I can see how you respond to those. And then, we just kind of give you some feedback on that.
Okay.
Yeah, sounds right. Sounds good?
Yes.
So what other questions do you have for me?
It was just as far as the OAT and the applications, and there is, I sent also, for Pennsylvania, I also, reached out to them and told them about my test scores and stuff that, wasn't up to, my expectations, but there was an improvement, and they told me to go ahead and submit anyways. And so I did, and I don't know if you know about this other test they made me take. It was like a personality test, I guess. It was called From Acuity.
Okay.
And I'm still waiting on that as well, and I haven't heard anything from them. Michigan also nothing. So it was just more like it's like a waiting game right now, and I don't.
Well, not. Yes and no. It's a waiting game. What did I tell you earlier that I want you to do? The places that you haven't heard from.
The what?
The places that you haven't heard from. What did I tell you to do?
Oh, to reach out to them.
That's right. So is it a waiting game means you're doing nothing. So I don't want you to think of it as a waiting game because I do want you to be proactive, okay?
Yeah.
So you can still reach out to them and, just, find out different, what's the status on something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm going to go ahead and do that tomorrow because they're not open today.
Perfect. Good. All right. So was this helpful? Did you need this?
Yes, I did, because I was still debating whether I should just go ahead and start thinking about, retaking the OAT before, May or by May, or go with the POPs, or because again, like I said, like if I was to retake the OAT and my test scores were so low by that time, because that's only 2 months away.
Uh-huh.
If I was to, retake it, but then the deadlines were going to be up. And then the POPs is already for, like a year before the entry. So either way, it was going to be, for the next cycle.
Yep.
And so I was just like, it's just, what I had to pick at the end of the day. And I was just trying to see which is the better way to go for the OAT wise, to just keep studying for it and retake it, or just go through this program and just go through Nova and then wait until what other schools say as well.
Well, I think you know the answer, right? What's the answer? For all of that.
I mean,
the answer is you go ahead and you continue to study for the OAT while you're doing everything else you're doing. So the things that, like making a call to the different programs to follow up with them, that doesn't take much time out of your day, does it?
No.
Right. Sending off the information to Nova, you've already done that, so that didn't take any time, right?
Yeah.
So, taking a few hours out of your day to study for the OAT is not going to hurt you, is it?
Mm-mm.
Right. So you already know the answer. The answer is do it all. Because it's just that simple. Okay. Yeah, just do it all. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. You're good. You're going to be fine. Like I said, you got the 3 T's. I see it in you. I know you have the talent. I know you. Now I think you can understand what I mean by time, because you are no longer a microwave. All right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're no longer a microwave. You are an oven. And the tenacity, the fact that you're still talking to me and you're calling to follow up and see what you can do, tells me that you have the tenacity, that you're not going to give up. So I'm happy about that.
Thank you.
Yeah. So just keep grinding, okay? Just keep grinding and call me if you have any questions.
Yes. Thank you so much, Dr. Sutton.
All right. Well, I'll talk to you later, and then keep me posted, okay?
I will. Thank you.
All right. Talk to you later.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye. What a wonderful, wonderful conversation with a wonderful student. And hopefully this was something that could benefit whether you are going to optometry school, dental school, medical school, or whatever you're trying to do. Hopefully these 3 things we talked about today, time, tenacity, and talent, those 3 things can help you tremendously in understanding that with time, you can't create it, you can't predict it, and you can't reverse it. The only thing you can do with time is manage it. So manage it well. Have a great day.